Did you have an idea at that time what he
No,
was talking about?
I don't. I don't.
Did you, at that point, do anything as a result of that phone call?
No, I didn't.
So what was going through your mind, having had the chairman call directly to ask if you were briefed? What were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, I start thinking a lot because basically I don't know what was happening, but I knew the council was at Yundum and was at Fajara Barracks, and there is rumor of boycotting the parade that was to be held for the Remembrance Day parade. So I look confused. I don't know what is going to happen and what was happening. So, but he promised to call back. So I was waiting for the call back.
And did he in fact call back?
Yes, after 30 minutes again, that was around 9 o'clock again, he called again.
So again, step by step, what do you recall from that conversation?
When he called back, he asked me, he told me, okay, listen very well, and if he gave me specifically names of people.
I want to, as much as you can remember the conversation, if you can recall exactly what he said, what you said, and then we'll take the conversation like that. So tell us exactly what was said rather than paraphrasing to the extent that you recall.
Yeah, when he called back, he asked me to go and inform the guard commander that he gave names of people that were our officers. He told me to go and inform the guard commander if Lieutenant Dotfal, Lieutenant LF Jame, Sir Jackal, that is Sergeant Juf.
What was Sergeant Juf's first name?
I think it's Aliu Juf. Aliu Juf, commonly known as Sir Jackal. And Lieutenant Ba, also Aliu Ba, and Sergeant Ba, Achopin, commonly known as Achopin. Lieutenant Mane.
Do you know Lieutenant Mane's first name?
Bakari Mane Nyancho. Lieutenant Bineminte. I think he gave names up to 8 people. I don't know whether I have named all, but I think up to 8 people.
Well, let me repeat the names that I have.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Dotfal, Lieutenant LF Jame, Sir Jackal, Lieutenant Bakari Mane, known as Nyancho, Lieutenant Bineminte, so we're missing a few names.
And Jibril Say.
What was his rank at the time?
Was a lieutenant, promoted newly lieutenant.
I'm looking at the statement that you provided to investigators of the TRRC, and the one name that appears in the statement that you haven't mentioned, or should I say 2 names, Lieutenant Basiru Barrow.
Lieutenant Basiru Barrow, very correct.
Did the chairman mention his name?
Yes, he mentioned his name.
You also mentioned Sergeant E.M. Cisse.
E.M. Cisse.
Did the chairman mention his name?
He mentioned his name as well.
So when Chairman Jame mentioned these 8 names, What exactly did he say should be done about those 8 people?
He said if these people should come to the headquarters, inform the guard commander, if these people should come to the headquarters and wanted to force themselves in, open fire on them.
Did you find,
that we should shoot at them?
Did you find this order unusual?
Very unusual.
Please tell us why.
Because I suppose not to take orders from him directly. He should have relayed that message through the command, and that will be filtered down to us, but not from the president directly or the head of state to an operator of my level, a private soldier at the time. And given the words, open fire on them was something that was serious for us to do at that level, at that time.
What do you mean by that?
Because open fire on somebody just coming to the headquarters, I don't know what should have warranted us to do that, and why would they come and have to force themselves at the headquarters? So I wouldn't know why should we have to do that.
Even if such individuals came to the headquarters and tried to force themselves in, would opening fire be the appropriate response, regardless of how they try to force themselves in?
Yeah, but I don't think so, but it depends how they would be coming to the headquarters as well. Whether they would come with the use of force, with weapons, and that, yes, you would have to defend your position, but I don't think they would have come to the headquarters, because there would have been no reason for them to come to headquarters and force themselves in.
But you found the order to open fire on those individuals, should they choose to force themselves in, to be unusual?
Yes.
So having received this unusual order from Chairman Jame, what did you do next?
As he instructed, I went out after he hung up the call. I went out to inform the guard commander about the developments, the call that I have received, which I did accordingly, and I came back to my office.
Do you recall who was the guard commander that night?
No, at the time I couldn't remember the name of this guard commander, because, like I said in the statement, there used to be guards coming from Fajara barracks. Guards would come from Yunum barracks and the Navy. So I couldn't actually remember which guard commander was there at the time.
When you relayed Chairman Jame's unusual instructions to the guard commander, what was his reaction?
Yeah, he was also just surprised. He said, we should open fire. What is happening? I said, I don't know. I told him I don't know what is actually, but this is the message that I have received to be relayed to you.
Were you present when the guard commander briefed the other soldiers?
Yeah, he started calling his soldiers, because I met some of them sat outside brewing attire, some were inside relaxing. So he has to call them while I also returned back to my office, because I was alone in the office.
So having relayed Chairman Jame's instructions to the guard commander, you went back to the communications room?
Yes.
Did you receive or make any phone calls after that?
Yes, I did try to make phone calls. I made phone calls to Fajara, because Benaminte's name was mentioned, which I came from the same village with. So when he mentioned his name, I was so worried about his safety. So I tried to ring Binaminte because even if I had to call at the signal center at Fajara Barracks, the operator was alone, cannot leave that distance. If you know Fajara Barracks, where the training school is, and the main gate is too far, and normally we are only one duty signaler at the time, operator. So he could not. I have to use the anti-roam telephone and a telephone booth that was around the guard room. So I tried to ring these two places on and off, but I couldn't hold on to anybody to receive the call so that I could talk to Bine at the time. I tried as much as I could, but I could not get hold of him on phone. So I could warn him to stay away if he is part of whatever was happening. Because why this man mentioned their name, whether he is part of the team that is about to, that plan to boycott the parade, I don't know. But why he mentioned his name, I was scared and worried about his safety.
So the chairman called after 9 p.m.
Yes.
You went and spoke to the guard commander, went back to the communications room, and tried to call Bineminte. Do you remember around what time that was?
This was around 10 after 10.
Did anything else happen that night?
Yes. After the call, I went and have my bath and I prayed Isha prayers. When I prayed, I dressed up because when the call came and the order that was given, the subsequent order to shoot, so I know all is not well. So I dressed up in my combat boot that was in uniform, but now after bath, I put on my combat boot and take up my rifle.
Did you remain in the communications room or were you somewhere else within the Army headquarters?
I was in the communication room because that's where I should be.
So following that, did you hear or observe anything in particular that night?
Yeah, around 1:30 towards 2 a.m., I went outside smoking cigarette, but I went outside to observe if everything was normal, but I could hear gunshots at distance, rapid fire of gunshots.
Do you recall from which direction those...
That was coming from the Combo direction, that's Fajara, I presume.
Do you recall for how long that rapid fire of gunshots lasted?
Yeah, it went for quite a while, you know. It went quite a while.
After that, what happened next?
Okay, at 3:30 a.m., Usman Sonko arrived, Second Lieutenant Usman Sonko arrived. You could realize that he was running because he was breathing fast. So when he knocked on my door, there is a cupboard when you enter the then signal center at the Army headquarters, now Joint Service headquarters. By the left, when you enter, there is a cupboard. So I climbed through the radio table and stood on top of that cupboard because I switched off the bulb, cover the light reflection on the radios, you know, because when they are on in that darkness, the room would still be bright. So I covered them. Then I climbed up the table to the top of the cupboard to take cover there when I was opening the door for Usman Sonko. So I opened through while I was on top of that cupboard. So when he entered, I was on top of the cupboard. I pointed my gun on to the door. So it was him. So he called my name. Then I came down. I told him what happened. he just opened the cupboard and grabbed his own rifle, because that's where we kept all our rifles, the personnel that were at the station at the Joint Service Headquarters Communication Center.
Did he say anything to you?
No, he did not explain anything. He just took his rifle and rushed. So he said he was going to, he said he was going to the State House. And subsequently, that's how he was his transfer came to the State House.
So he took his weapon, said he was going to the State House,
Yeah.
and then he left?
He left.
Can you tell us what happened after that?
When he left, we were there up till morning. At around 8, when soldiers started arriving for work.
We're now talking about the 11th November in the morning, around 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Please continue.
At 11 in the morning of 8 a.m., when soldiers started arriving for work, I was there, dressed up, when one of my corporals, late Corporal Hasim Juf, called me that Captain Lawrence Jara want an escort to Yundum.
And you already told us that Captain Lawrence Jara was one of the senior men in the Army at the time.
Yes.
Member of the communications team, or?
He was our OC before the coming of the Nigerians. He was the head of the communication unit.
So Captain Lawrence Jara came in. Tell us what happened.
He said he needed an escort to Yundum. And my corporal, later Corporal Hasim Juf, called me. So he told me, as you are off duty today, so you can escort this man, Captain Jara, to Yundum. Then on your way back, you can just drop home. Along the way, you go home till tomorrow.
Prior to that, had you received any information from the soldiers who came to work that day about what was actually happening in the country at the time?
Yeah, we had the info before, in fact, the soldiers came from the mail vehicle that comes to give mails, that there were a coup attempt. So, and soldiers and some officers were arrested at both Yundum and Fajara. We got the information before some of my colleagues that I work with in the same office came.
Do you recall who you actually spoke to? Who gave you that information?
Late Yankuba Kante was one of them who told me. And I spoke to the operator as well at Yundum.
When did you speak to the operator at Yundum?
That morning, early morning.
Around what time?
That was around 7 to 7, after 7 in the morning.
Can you tell us what the operator from Yundum told you?
Yeah, that they had a very bad night because there was a coup plot here. And some arrests were made. This is what he told me.
You told us earlier that the operator on duty at Yundum Barracks that night was Ibrahima
B.I.
Ibrahima B.I. Was he the same one who called you that morning?
Yeah, very early morning.
So apart from the information that soldiers had been arrested, did he tell you anything else?
No, he didn't.
Okay, so after 8 in the morning, you're asked to accompany Captain Lawrence Jara to Yundum Barracks.
Yes.
Can you tell us when you arrived? Well, first of all, it was yourself, Captain Jara. Did anyone else go with you?
No, we are only 2 in the vehicle.
Can you tell us at what time you arrived at Yundum Barracks?
We arrived at Yundum Barracks around 9 in the morning.
Now let's take it step by step. Upon your arrival at Yundum Barracks, can you tell us what you observed?
When we arrived at Yundum Barracks, it was tense and chaotic there.
What do you mean by that?
Because it was not normal as it used to be. You know, people who have been arrested, people who have been stripped off, and you know, the guard room cells was virtually full. It was filled up.
So let's focus on that. You said people were being arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us from what you could observe who was arresting who?
Yeah, the RPs and some of the soldiers, you know, orders were given, arrest this person, you know.
Can you identify some of the individuals who were arrested?
Basiru Kamara, I met him in the cells.
Do you recall?
Sergeant Basiru Kamara.
Yes.
I also met EMCC.
You told us that he was a sergeant at the time, is that
Sergeant
correct?
EMCC, yeah.
Yes, please continue.
Lieutenant Jibril Seyu. Amadou Mbake Silla. Cadet Amadou Mbake Silla. Yeah, these are people that I can fully remember. And during the arrest, I saw Kairaba Kamara, nicknamed Mfa Kamara.
What was his rank at the time?
He was a corporal at the time. He was arrested, and all of a sudden, he was being arrested as well. He was part of people that were arrested, and later he was arrested.
So the people that you've mentioned who were arrested, where were they taken to?
To the guard room.
And do you recall, apart from Karabakh Camera, who you've mentioned, do you recall any of the individuals who were arresting people? So the people who were conducting the arrest?
Late Tamba, I forgot the first name, but it was coupled Tamba. It was a Provo, slim guy.
Who else?
Yeah, these are the people that I can remember at the time. Just like I said, there were so many others, but the situation was chaotic and
let's focus on, before we move to the detainees, let's focus on other individuals who were present at Yundum Barracks. Were members of the junta present?
Yes, the members of the juntas were present.
Can you tell us who you recall seeing that morning at Yundum Barracks?
I saw Lieutenant Sana Sabali, the vice chairman. I saw Lieutenant Edward Singate, the then Minister of Defense. Lieutenant Sadibu Haidara, the then Minister of Interior. And Lieutenant Yankuba Toure, the then Minister of Local Government and Lands.
Apart from members of the junta, what about senior members of the army? Who do you recall seeing that morning at Yundum?
The then commander, Gambia National Army, Babukar Jata, Major Babukar Jata was there. Captain Mamadou Baji, now the security advisor to the president. Dennis Coker was there, captain, and Captain Samsidin Sar was also there. This I could remember.
You mentioned that soldiers were being arrested and put in the guard room. Where were these members that you've mentioned? So where were members of the junta and the senior officers at that time? Where were they located within the barracks?
They were just next to the guard room, just a bit opposite the RSM's office. at the car park at the time.
Amongst those senior officers, as well as the members of the junta, from your recollection, could you determine if someone was in charge of that group?
Well, virtually, Sana was doing everything. He was in charge of everything.
Can you tell us what you saw or heard him doing?
Yeah, he was giving orders. Anything that happened, Sana has to give those orders.
What kind of orders did you hear him giving?
Yeah, that is, get him, you only hear get him, get him to the cell, those kind of orders.
You mentioned that you saw a number of soldiers who had been detained in the guard room, so arrested and detained in the guard room. Can you describe what you saw? Like, were they wearing anything when you saw them?
You could see their head, but up to their neck, you will know that they are naked. In fact, some of them were driven in nakedly, only wearing their underwears.
Out of the people that you mentioned seeing, so EMC say, Lieutenant Jibril Say, Cadet Amadou Mbake Silla, and Corporal Karaba Kamara, were they also stripped of their uniforms?
Kairaba was in uniform, but these three other people that were initially arrested were all stripped of naked, except with their underwears.
You said that the situation was tense and chaotic because people were constantly being arrested and put in the guard room. Mm-hmm. Are you able to estimate roughly how many people you saw who were arrested?
I could not see through the guard room how many people, but there will be more than 20 people inside.
Just to take you back slightly, you mentioned Corporal Tamba, mm-hmm. and you said you didn't quite recall his name, but does the name Tumbul or Ansumana ring a bell?
No, it's not Tumbul, it's not Ansumana. This guy is also from Sintete. I could definitely not remember his name, but he's a slim guy, and he was the only Tamba RP at the time. He's late now.
What does RP stand for?
Regimental Police. The Tumbul also hail from Sintete, or that the same family, but this is a slim guy. It's not Tumbul or Ansumana. I know both.
Thank you for that clarification. That's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
When you saw the detainees in the guard room, you said that there are a lot of detainees. Do you know if they were detained in any other location apart from the guard room, as far as you could observe?
What I know is that the guard room.
So after you saw that certain soldiers had been detained in the guard room, can you tell us what happened next? What did you do? What else did you observe?
Yeah, what I do, just like I said, the situation was chaotic and tense, and definitely I don't feel comfortable being around the guard room area. So I went to the communication office to stay there.
How far was the communications office from the guard room?
It's like 15 to 20 meters away from the guard room.
From where you were in the communications center in Yundum Barracks, mm-hmm. could you still see what was happening around the guard room area?
No, I could not see.
So while you were there, what could you observe at the time? Was anything happening at that time?
Yeah, because Lieutenant Edward Singate moved towards the ante-room area. There was this truck was parked around the ante-room area. The ante-room is next to the signal center at the time. And this truck was parked just almost in front of the signal center and the anteroom. So through the window, you can see soldiers coming up and down of the truck. So I become also curious. I went to see what is at the truck. But on arrival, when I climb up through to see what is in the truck, I saw 2 dead bodies.
Could you recognize the 2 dead bodies that you saw inside the truck?
The 2 dead bodies were that of Lieutenant Basiru Baro and Lieutenant Dotfal. But Dotfal was still not completely dead.
What do you mean by that?
He was still shaken. The body was still shaken. You could see him moving, So he was still not completely dead.
Apart from those 2 bodies in the truck, was there anything else in the truck?
No, but only 2 of them in the truck.
So after you observed the 2 bodies, and at that time you said Lieutenant Dotfal was still shaking, so he wasn't completely dead.
Dead, yeah.
Do you recall around what time that was?
That was around 11.
Around 11 in the morning.
11 in the morning, after 11.
Can you tell us what you did after that?
I was inside the communication center still now. I went back to the communication office. I was inside when I saw Sergeant EMCC being marched towards the cookhouse area.
From where you were in the communications center, can you explain to us where the cookhouse was in relation to
the
that?
The cookhouse would be like 10 meters from the communication center.
So from the communication center, you could see what was happening outside?
Yeah, through the window, you could see what is happening.
Can you tell us what you observed?
I saw sign EMCC being marched towards the cookhouse area. So we were inside. I heard gunshots.
A single shot or multiple shots?
Multiple shots.
Please continue.
So when I heard those multiple shots, after a while I came out again to find out what happened. So I met up with a group of soldiers that I asked what is that gunshot, and I was told it was signed EMCC that was shot at.
Who told you that EMCC had been shot?
Yeah, I cannot remember this particular soldier, but they were in group that were coming from the mosque area, but the group that was conducting, they were far ahead of the mosque. There is a bathroom there, and the area is an empty area. There is no other construction after the bathroom, so you could see the area is virtually empty.
So you saw EMCC being marched.
Mm-hmm.
You heard gunshots, but you didn't actually see who killed.
No.
You came out, and then you were told he had been shot.
Shot.
Were you told who shot him?
Edward.
Which Edward?
Edward Singate, Lieutenant Edward Singate was the guy conducting.
What do you mean by was the guy conducting?
He ordered the shooting.
That's what you were told?
Yeah, that's what I was told.
Did you see EMCC's body at all?
No, I never reached that area because I don't want to be used. So, in fact, that made me to go and put my rifle in the vehicle that we use and open the boot and placed my gun there.
When you say you didn't want to be used, what do you mean?
Because when you stood there with your rifle, you can just be called at random, go and kill this person. So I don't want to be used at the time.
Did you actually see any particular person being ordered to shoot someone else?
No.
So after you heard that it was Edward Snyate who ordered the shooting of EMCC or shot EMCC, which one is it? Did he order the shooting or did he shoot EMCC himself? I'm trying to seek a clarification. Were you told that Edward Snyate shot EMCC himself or he ordered the shooting of EMCC?
He ordered the shooting of EMCC, I was told.
So after you put your rifle back in the vehicle, what did you do next?
I went back to communication, the communication room.
Can you tell us what happened after that?
Again, while I was inside, we had another gunshot, which was Fafanyang. That was next. In fact, Fafanyang was shot before EMCC.
Okay, let's take that step by step.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the shooting of Fafanyang, which you said happened before EMCC. Can you explain to us where you were and what happened step by step?
I was in the communication room. Just like I said, the truck was parked just outside the communication room and next to the ante-room. So that's where Fafanyang was shot at.
Did you observe the shooting?
No.
So tell us step by step what you heard and what led you to the conclusion that Fafanyang was shot.
Fafanyang was brought in to the anteroom where Edward was stood, according to what I knew. Edward was stood and he asked Fafanyang, go and greet your friends. That is the two dead bodies of Dotfal and Basiru Baro in the truck. According to what I heard, that's what he told him, go and greet your friends. And when Fafanyang climbed up to see what is in the truck, Edward shot him at the back, and he fell down.
So that's what you heard?
That's what I heard.
But you weren't present at that time?
No.
From where you were in the anteroom, did you hear any gunshots?
I was at the signal radio room when we had this gunshot.
So you heard the gunshot while you were in signal room?
Signal room, yeah.
Did you go outside at that time, or
No,
did you remain in the signals room?
It was 3 shots that I had. So I did not come out instantly, but after everything, we went outside to see. We opened the signal gate, we stood there. We did not reach where he was shot, but we stood at the door and you could see the dead body on the floor there, on the ground.
Can you tell us what you could observe in terms of Fafanyang's dead body?
Fafanyang's dead body, you can even see his intestine outside, where he was laid.
Did you notice anything else on his body apart from the intestines?
No, that's what I could notice, and I definitely could not reach at him, because these are people that I've worked with. They are the people that have welcomed me, and to be honest,
Please take your time, Mr. Kamara. Mr. Chairman, I believe the witness needs a few minutes, so either we can break early and then come back after the break, or we wait for a few minutes and see if he can proceed.
Thank you, Council. I think we were heading for the break anyway. Maybe we should take that right now and come back at 12 noon. If there is no problem from the Commission, meeting is adjourned. We come back at 12 noon.